What's up, everybody? It's Young here with a Final Fantasy XV news update. The following information comes from Game Informer, which featured Final Fantasy XV as its latest cover story. Throughout the following days, I'll be making separate videos detailing various categories of new information revealed through the article. Today, I would like to talk about details regarding the transition from Versus 13 to 15, which was more than just a change in name. First and foremost, this marked the project's transition to next-generation hardware, which is now, of course, current-gen, so PS4 and Xbox One, which in turn resulted in significant changes in the inner workings of the development environment. According to Tabata, the production methodology of 15 from Versus 13 changed from the ground up. There were also significant changes in the game's content, with the transition marking the game's separation from the Fabula Nova Chrysalis framework from Final Fantasy XIII and Type 0. In other words, 15 is no longer a part of that world. Characters also received drastic revisions, such as Versus 13 Stella, who is now Luna, a result of a significant shift in the character's role, although the nature of the shift wasn't detailed to avoid spoilers. The two iterations of the character still share a lot of similarities in both appearance and backstory, but they are definitely different characters. Stella was meant to act as both a friend and an antagonistic force for Noctis, with the two characters having been set in opposition to each other for reasons undisclosed. Luna, on the other hand, can be described to be less of a fighter and more of a damsel in distress. It has been established that she and Noctis were childhood friends, and that when the game begins, the two are meant to be wedded to each other for political purposes. But things don't turn out as intended, with the Niflheim Empire scheming behind the scenes, and Luna is eventually taken captive by the Niflheim Empire. Not to say that Luna will just act as a damsel in distress, or that she won't end up being a strong character in her own right, but compared to Stella, she definitely gives off the vibe that she is less of a badass, if you will, and more of a graceful princess. Alongside changes in character, just about everything else was reevaluated when Versus 13 became 15, so things like the world, the technology, etc. However, something that Tabata did emphasize was that most of Versus 13's hallmarks remain with 15. It's still about Noctis and his companions. It still has an evil empire that players must face, a realistic setting, and action-based combat. The way Game Informer described it was that Final Fantasy XV is a mixture of familiar elements and new features. In Tabata's own words, for those aspects of the game that were previously made public, environment, story, and game systems, we try to retain as much as we could. For all other facets of the game, we took the opportunity to shape Final Fantasy XV to the fullest range of our imagination and creativity. One final topic that was touched upon regarding the transition from Versus 13 to 15 was the logo. Save for the title change and some color adjustments, Yoshitaka Amano's illustration remained untouched. According to the article, it was left that way because it still represents the game appropriately. So it truly does seem as though the overarching elements from Versus 13 have remained intact. As for what the logo represents exactly, Tabata had shared with GameSpot last year that the figure that Amano drew for the logo is one of the most important goddesses in Final Fantasy XV, and that her design was based on Amano's artwork. Interesting to note about the godlike figure is that she is laying her head on her arms as though she's sleeping, which perfectly goes in line with one of Final Fantasy XV's main musical themes, Somnus. The song literally starts with Deus dormit, which translates to God sleeps, so the fact that the logo has remained untouched could be indication that the lyrics of Somnus will still have a significant meaning for Final Fantasy XV, despite the fact that the song was written a decade ago for Versus 13. So there you have it, folks, some interesting new information on the changes and transition from Final Fantasy Versus 13 to Final Fantasy 15. Thank you for tuning in. Let us know in the comments below your thoughts about the current state of the decade-old game compared to what you saw when it was unveiled as Versus 13 back in 2006. And to be further updated on Final Fantasy news, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out!